Stop the cap.
Help us. Yeah. Without your hand, we are nothing. Without the white people, without the white men, there is no life. Africa, to be Africa, it must be Europe. Go see how South Africa looks like today. The white people built it, South Africa. Beautiful South Africa. Just because of you white people. You are a great kingdom. You are blessed by God to be who you are today. God bless you. You are a fighting hand. Thank you, I love you. I want to be somewhere. You go connect me with the black world in America.
To colonize Africa because of our value systems. We were welcoming to visitors. Kindness was also an important virtue in African society. Unfortunately, the values that were held in high regard in African society were the same values that made Europeans view us as naive and inferior. In short, our kindness was taken for weakness. The same thing happened to the Aztecs in South America. After Christopher Columbus's first voyage, he described the natives as so naive, so free with their possessions. When you ask for something, they never say no. To the contrary, they offer to share with anyone. To European imperialists, being kind to one another, let alone strangers, was not a common occurrence. You see, by 1601, the Dutch had already established the first stock exchange in history. This also means that capitalism began to take shape in European society. In essence, it was every person for themselves, may the best businessman win. So when they set foot in Africa and saw people living in harmonious communal societies, we became targets, easy targets. And that's how precious minerals and other resources were siphoned out of Africa to build Europe.
I got some time. You know, I always find it funny how people get in their feelings. They get all emotional when you criticize their specific group. I got smoke for everybody. Literally everybody. I criticize white people, black people, men, women, Christians, Muslims, Asians, Latinos. I mean, I got smoke for everybody. And you know what's funny? You know, depending on like what faction people want to identify, like if I'm railing against the Muslims, right, then the Christians are like, yeah, that's right, right? Well, as soon as I start railing against the Christians, oh brother, you done took it too far, right? I mean this shit is hilarious, right? Even the white people, I rail against white people, you know, you're playing the race card, right? They start bitching and moaning and crying, right? As soon as I say something about the Jews, right, which is they love to use as a scapegoat, then they're like, yeah, see, it's really not white people, it's the Jews, it's the little hats, right? When I criticize black men, the black women come in my comment section, I love this video, like, SWP for president. As soon as I go and I criticize black women, and y'all niggas ain't built shit, and y'all niggas ain't done this, and done that, and the white man still controls the world, nigga, you weak ass nigga. I'm like, god damn, you know, it's just funny at how when people want to hear what they want to hear, it's all praises, it's all, this is a great video, 1,000 likes, nigga, you know. But as soon as you get anywhere near the sacred cow, you know, the cow that they hold sacred, oh my fucking god, the bitching, it's so funny because it'll be the same people. You know, I criticize young niggas, I criticize old niggas. You know what I mean? When I criticize young niggas, the old niggas is like, yeah, that's right, these young boys, they don't know what it was like back in the day, right? Then when I criticize old niggas, oh, Pete, you don't know what you talk about, nigga, you know, all that shit. I mean, it's like nobody can take any fucking criticism. None. How many videos do I have ripping the fuck out of educated lames and what I can't stand about educated lames as an educated lame? You know what I mean? I hate our fucking reputation that there's never going to be a fucking response. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I care too much about my good job. Oh my God, what will my employer say? I'm like, nigga, all that equates to is you ain't never going to respond to shit, and everybody knows it, and that's your fucking reputation. Your reputation is not responding. And then the same guys turn around talking about, I don't know why these black women like these street dudes. I don't know why they're so attracted to them. Maybe because they stand on business, nigga. Maybe because when some shit pops off, yeah, we can argue and talk about, oh, he crashed out in a bad way and blah, 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 blah. But that only adds to the mystique. It only adds to the reputation that those dudes respond to shit, and they don't just lay down or just, freaking go along to get along. And there's respect in that. Now, obviously, you got to gauge and assess the shit and what your own moral values or principles are. But I'm just saying, stop acting like you don't understand why, there's these different ranking systems, when it comes to different groups and how they're seen and what their reputation is. I don't get people who don't pay attention to their reputation. They're just in complete denial mode. This is like going back to the, even when I criticize Africans, Chika Onyenyani, who wrote the book Capitalist Nigger, and criticized Africans heavily as an African about what they're doing. If you can't take self-criticism, you really have no business criticizing other people, seriously speaking. If you can't handle, all right, that's true. Yeah, we do need to work on that. If you can't handle that, you really don't need to be criticizing other people or co-signing the criticization. Is that a word? The criticizing of other people. You really don't, because you can't handle it yourself. You can only dish it out, or you can only be a casual observer and watch somebody receiving it. But as soon as somebody turns the mirror to you, then all of a sudden you get all type of butt hurt and you in your feelings and shit. And every so often I have to make a video like this to remind people of that fact. I don't know how many fucking topics, I jump around, whatever the current event is, whatever, I just had the video talking about Syria and all the, watching all these Christian persecution complexes. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about Islam. However, again, for the Christians, the Christians over here in America, they'd be like, oh my God, they're killing the Christians. Like the Christians and the Alawites didn't have that shit coming after the 1982 Hama massacre. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. But again, people want to be ahistorical. People want to look at things in a vacuum, and it just doesn't work like that. But anyway, getting to my what kicked this video off, which is my criticism of Caribbean black folks and African black folks. This isn't about just being on some anti-tether, Tariq Nasheed tip. No, Africans have and Caribbean blacks have much to be criticized. I got people running around in my comment section talking about the criminality in Jamaica or the criminality in some of these Caribbean islands. I've seen it. I've been on islands in the Caribbean that literally, I mean the stupidest thing in the world. Like, you're on an island, and they got gangs on the island, and then like the island is like basically like usually on all these Caribbean islands, there's like one main road that kind of like outlines the island, and think of it like a clock, right? So like if you're in a gang and your gang is from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Right? The other gang that's at 7 and 8 o'clock, they can't cut through the 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock area. Otherwise, they'll get attacked. So if they're at 1 o'clock, they got to go all the way around the island to go to 4 o'clock to meet their cousin or their friend or whatever. I'm like, this is the stupidest shit in the world. This island is way too small for y'all to be on the shit that you're on. And again, even talking about the criminality in these islands, the primary reason why that exists is because the old black people on these islands are overly religious. They're anti capitalism. They're anti making money. Like I've looked at these islands, and I've even suggested to some of the leaders on these islands, and I'm like, why don't you have and I don't even now I don't know if you could do it because now that AI is here, they're going to, they had this thing where they were, using AI to get rid of Indian accents. And even some of the Indians had a problem with that, because they were like, you need to show people that there's different accents in the world, and get rid of the accents only contributes to white supremacy, right? Like when you call like Dell, if you got a Dell and you call Dell and they're asking you to read the numbers off the back of the computer, and shit always goes to fucking India. Is that P as in porridge? I'm like, who the fuck says porridge? Like P as in how about P as in pineapple, nigga? Like, no, P as in porridge. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, definitely somebody was colonized by the British. Porridge. What the fuck is porridge? Anyway, I'm saying, I looked at the Caribbean islands. I'm like, why don't you, like, you speak English, right? You have an accent. Okay, your accent is different from an Indian accent, but you speak English. Why aren't you having call centers like they have in India? Why aren't, like you don't have any, raw materials, really. Like, you got Jamaica. Jamaica has bauxite. Bauxite's used to make aluminum. You know what I mean? And then they got some other mineral that people were joking about, calling it like vibranium or some shit like that. I forget what the element is, but it's some rare. No, I think it's in Haiti. There's some rare, mineral that's in Haiti, and people got all that type of conspiracy theories about what they're doing to try to mine and extract this without giving the Haitian people anything, right? But I'm saying, I don't know why the Caribbean islands don't get into tech, because you don't have the space, you don't have like the raw materials. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've been to islands. They got rolling blackouts. They got, there's just a whole bunch of inconvenience there. And they have a major problem with a brain drain. People leave the island because they have nothing for the young people. And I'm like, you're not addressing the issue, which is you have no economic opportunities for the young people. It's nothing but tourism. The docility that I'm talking about, also comes from the aspects of tourism, the aspects of bending over backwards. I only seen one Caribbean guy. He was a cab driver, and I remember I was at one of those, like, it was like a little restaurant, like kind of like an outside place where people like stand in line to get their food, and there was a white guy. He was in line with his white woman, and I don't know, him and the cab driver got into it. They got into it, and it was the first time I seen a Caribbean man actually stand up, to white folks like that. And he was just basically like, nah, y'all motherfuckers come here, and you act like you run shit, because I guess, I don't know, they were having a dispute over who cut who in line or something like that. And the white guy said something really dismissive. I don't remember what it was. I think I barely heard it, but the Caribbean guy was like, "What did you say, nigga?" Like he jumped up on some stink meters type shit. No, actually no, like Tom Dubois possessed by stink meter. What did you say, nigga? Like he responded like he was sick of these motherfuckers. And that was like the first time I ever seen them stand up. But most of the time they kowtowing, stepping and fetching and whatnot. They straighten up, when somebody comes walking in with a British accent. You should see it. It is fucked up. And it's not like we don't have that in the United States. I don't like what I see, from black people in the South a lot of times. They do this whole, like, oh, you can't talk to white folks that like that. Oh, the fuck I can't. You know what I'm saying? They have a very yes ma'am, no ma'am, type of, and it's not just about being polite, because I know people are going to try to come at there. Oh, it's about them being, no. You got to see, it's like cowering. You know what I mean? They don't stand up erect, the type of shit where like they'll hold a door for white people, but white people won't hold a door for them, and they ain't got shit to say about it. You know what I mean? It's very cringy. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn. Like, what is it? What is it? In the black codes is one of the reasons why, I couldn't live in the South like that. Because of the type of wealth inequality that you see. The black people are really, completely separated, and that's why if you look in the South, a lot of the black culture in the South compared in America, compared to the white culture, is they're really far apart from each other. A lot of the black people, the way that they speak, their English is unintelligible, and you'll see the same thing in the Caribbean. Some Caribbean people that work in hospitality, they can code switch, but others can't. You know what I mean? It's nice to see, Africans like what's going on in Burkina Faso. It's nice to see, them actually take control of their own destiny. There are people who are trying to change the relationship between Africans and Europeans. However, there are still boatloads of black people who kowtow and step and fetch. Okay, that like to run around playing Judas and Uncle Tom. There's boatloads of black people who do that. And the thing is we've had all type of examination of that in America. I don't know what y'all call the term. I mean, we got the term coon. We call them coons. We call them Uncle Toms. What do y'all call them in the Caribbean? Do y'all even have a word for it? I mean, I've actually heard the word from the Spanish people, and they got a word for it more than I've heard any black people or Africans have a word for it, which is La Malinche. La Malinche, which she was one of like the Aztec women that helped the Spaniards translate and colonize the Aztec, and they basically call any Pocahontas ass bitch in Mexico La Malinche, and actually it's not just Mexico. I think it's like most of Central Central America, Central and Mexico. I know Mexico's not. Mexico shouldn't be Central America. Is it Central America? I want to say Latin America because that's like South America. No, actually, no. Latin America should be all of the Spanish-speaking countries. But I'm saying it's not South America. It's more like a Central American thing. But I could be wrong about that. But that's what I know. So thus far. But when it comes to Africans, man, I mean, we've seen this. Y'all seen the video of the dude? You know what I mean? Oh, white people, we are nothing without you. Oh, white people, we are nothing. Do I need to repost that again to expose y'all and the shit that y'all do? I mean, cringy ass, embarrassing shit that y'all do. You know what I mean? You don't see us doing no shit like that. You know what I mean? That kid in that Zimbabwe kid kissing the boot of the white person. We don't got no videos like that in the States. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, y'all got to do better. And if you can't take the criticism, that's on you. If you can't take the criticism, you know what I mean? But there's definitely room for criticism. I done seen this shit with my own eyes. Even when y'all come here, and then this rolls right into Tariq Nasheed and all his tethered criticisms. Y'all come here and y'all undermine us. You undermine the reparation movement, which is why white supremacy likes to put you all on a pedestal. And y'all think that, shit is about, behavior, like as though black people in the 1960s or 50s could have behaved their way out of redlining. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's like it's never been about behavior. First off, arguably, black people in the 1950s and 60s were far more well-behaved. I'm sure today's white people would rather deal with those black people than to deal with the niggas of today. But the difference is the niggas of today, the younger people, they already know that ain't none of that ass kissing gonna make them see you any motherfucking differently. So they don't give a fuck. And that's that not giving a fuck is what I don't see in Caribbean blacks and African blacks. I don't see that not giving a fuck. I still see a whole bunch of trying to gain white favor, trying to get white people to like them and accept them, and then delineate themselves from African Americans on, so we not like them niggas. Oh, massa, we not like them. We's different. Like that's what I see. And then what ends up happening eventually is those African or Caribbean immigrants, they end up fucking around and finding out. Now, many of the African and Caribbean immigrants that come to the States, especially like the first generation, the ones that are born here and raised here, they know what time it is. Because you see very few of them talking crazy. The ones that you see talking crazy are the parents, the ones who've only been here for all but a flash in the pan. You know what I mean? Oh, when'd you come here? Oh, I came here 2 years ago. And then you already know you're going to hear some coon shit from a nigga that got here 2 years ago. I'm like, okay, nah, let him cook. He needs to be, keep him in the oven a little bit longer, and he going to find out what it is. You know what I mean? He's going to find out that he's not viewed differently. You know, they're not going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were from, Rwanda. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to treat you this way. Bullshit. That's not what's going to happen. You a nigga. You a nigga. That's how they're going to treat you. But, you get these black folks that come here and they think it's the land of opportunity and it's a meritocracy and that, all they have to do is get good grades and, they'll be able to move up the ranks and whatnot. I got a guy right now, African, that's in the middle of bumblefuck, you know what I mean? Because, he's out there, finishing up, his residency, younger than me. And, he's just, I gotta be his mental support because he's got no support. He's in the middle of fucking nowhere. I know why. I'm like, yeah, they brought you in because they wanted to show the diversity of their program. They wanted to, to not be, to not say, oh, hey, we need to see some black faces up here because, the hospital he's in, it serves, an area that has a large black population. So it's fairly mixed when you get into the hospital setting. But I'm saying, there's a lot of black people, and I guess they got called out because they're like, how come you don't have any black professionals? And so they brought him on board, and this is the guy that they told him when he came on board. They were like, leave the white girls alone because you don't know who knows who in this small podunk town, and if some shit goes down, we can't really protect you. This is the type of thing where, it's like, you get pulled over by the police officer and you're like, I want to speak to the mayor. You know what I mean? And then the fucking sheriff takes his hat off and then puts on another hat and is like, okay, you're speaking to the mayor. Like, that's how small the fucking town is. You know what I mean? Like the people like that. I don't want to call it incest, but people are related by like 1 or 2 degrees of separation. You go in there fucking with the wrong person, they get upset at you. You may have not even done anything, and it'll fuck your whole world up. And where he's at, he got white bitches in this podunk town throwing all type of pussy. They're like, oh, you making money. They throwing all type of pussy at him, and I keep trying to tell him, leave that shit alone. Leave it alone. And he's telling me about how fucking basic they are and whatnot. I'm like, I already know they're basic as hell. What do you expect out there in flyover country? Of course they basic as hell, and they trying to, I see the finesse. I'm like, nah, nigga, they trying to set you up and shit, get you, oh, how come you didn't come to this event? And I'm busy. What you should have went down there with is you should have had your ass a fake ass picture, of you and use AI or some shit, or get your cousin, take a picture, put a ring on your finger, I'm married, and get them to leave you the fuck alone, do what you need to do, handle your business, and get the fuck out of there. Get the fuck out of there. I'm telling them. You know what I mean? Because, they already giving them all type of shit, giving them tons of patience. Even other people, they rolling out early. He's still lingering around 11:30 at night and shit. I'm like, I already knew that was going to happen. I told you, I'm like, it's going to be a grind for the next fucking, 3 years. Like, that's what it's going to be. And he's just, oh, well, and I'm trying to tell him, I'm trying to coach his ass on the shit, but, he's African, and I love it because, he had some views when I first met him. He had some really, the typical African views of African Americans, and I'm like, all right, I'm telling you what time it is. And he was like, oh, well, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that way. Blah 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 blah. And now, he's in his fuck around and find out era. I'm like, I told you that's how that shit's gonna go down. Oh, I told you. Oh, they accusing you of everything that you're doing is coming off of Chat GPT. And I told him, I was like, don't use Chat GPT. I was like, use DeepSeek. Or use Cloud, because they don't know what it is, because most of them are ignorant. Use that, and he can have the window open up in the background, and they can't, they don't, what do you want to call it? they don't they don't know what the difference. They just, as long as they don't see, like, they know what ChatGPT looks like, but they don't know what the other AI software looks like. Like, it's hilarious, the ignorance, of these people. But in any event, I mean, like, ChatGPT, any of the AI is wonderful for organizing notes. Like, awesome. Like, you can't, it's awesome for organizing notes. But I'm saying, I mean, this guy has been in healthcare for, he was in healthcare for a long time, and so, he's got all type of, he's got more experience than the people in there, but, it doesn't matter. He's a black man. It's all, all that meritocracy bullshit, and, he doesn't know. And again, this is an African. This is not an African American, and he's still catching hell. He's still catching hell, and I love it. Not that I love that he's going through what he's going through, but I love the fact that he's getting his nigga wake-up call. And, every couple of weeks I get a phone call. He's like, man, you tried to tell me. He's like, you told me. I was like, wow, what happened? And then he's got some fucked up story, of some bullshit that went down. And I'm like, yeah, I know it. It's real passive aggressive, ain't it? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, try to act like, and then, just like real sneaky lies. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I know, it's fucked up, but that's what they do. That's what they do. And you gotta be prepared for that shit. You gotta be on your toes and on your P's and Q's. It's a hostile environment. You know what I'm saying? And I keep trying to convince him to I'm like, don't deal with anything in that area. Get on a motherfucking plane, roll the fuck out, and go, somewhere else. Do not be in that area because that's the shit that you're going to deal with. But anyway, getting off of his story, I'm just saying, we see it. We see the docility going back all the way to Haiti and the Haitian Revolution. Nigga, that was what was that? Fucking 200 years ago. Get real. Like, yes, I give Haitians all the credit in the world when it comes to, that shit. But, in terms of the self-hatred, you see the videos of the African moms, when their sons cut off their locks or their cornrows or whatever style of hair that's more than, an inch off of their head, oh, praise Jesus, my son is back. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cringy shit, hating your hair, hating, like acting like you love your culture, but then, the way that y'all kowtow and step and fetch as soon as white people walk in the room is disgusting. It's despicable. And y'all need to be called out on that shit. Not just for criticism, for criticism's sake, but like so that y'all do better. Because y'all be running around acting like you don't see it. Like the only people worthy of being criticized are African Americans. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? The way y'all over there letting the smallest man on the planet, the Chinese man, whoop your ass in your own country. You know what I'm saying? I got secondhand embarrassment as an African American. Like, what the fuck is that shit? What the fuck is that shit? A Chinese man, shooting a man in Africa. Where the fuck did he get a gun? Regular Africans can't get guns, but this Chinese man is able to get a fucking gun in Africa, in whatever country it was. I'm like, y'all got it twisted. Y'all got it twisted. And then you sit around and wonder why you don't get any respect. I say this to the Nigerians that have, I think the poverty in Nigeria, like 73% of people in Nigeria live in abject poverty. And they always want to show you like the top, like 1% that are balling out of control and got these videos on Instagram talking about, oh, you thought we lived in mud huts, and check out this brand new architecturally built, building with my, Audi RS5 sitting outside. You know what I mean? It's like, that's cool, but at the end of the day, Africa is still seen as dusty. It's still seen as dusty. It's going to be seen as dusty until you have people that actually, go there from other countries, and doing, all type of work and business and stay there for a prolonged period of time. When you got people like Dave Chappelle making jokes about who goes to Africa for healthcare, you know what I mean? Like, that should tell you what your reputation is. Africans need to worry about their reputation, but they don't. And that's another thing that gets me about the Caribbean and the African and the Caribbean black people, is because they don't seem to understand what black people's reputation is on a global stage. African Americans are acutely aware of this. So we take offense at all insults of all black people when we get criticized for our Pan-Africanism. Because while you're sitting there going, "Ha, that's just the Igbo. Ha ha, that's just the Fulani. Ha ha, that's just the Yoruba. Ha ha, that's just the Hausa." When you're doing all that shit, you know what the world sees? Niggas. They don't care what flavor of African you are. They don't care what flavor of Caribbean you are. Use a nigga. They don't care that you're from Barbados. They don't care that you're from the fucking Ivory Coast. They don't care that you're from Turks and Caicos or Guyana. They don't care. They don't care. At the end of the day, you speak with an accent, you're a fucking immigrant. That's how they view you. And you came here because your own countries are dusty or there's some problem in it and it's some place that even you didn't want to be. So you lose points off top because you're in a country that is not your own. Unlike African Americans, we were fucking dragged here kicking and screaming. Okay? But you all, and we had to make the best of it. We turned lemons into lemonade. But you all had a choice and you chose to leave. So to sit there and act like you got so much pride of your own country, why didn't you stay where the hell you were? And this is where Tariq Nasheed is 100% right in calling y'all tethers and saying that you all are fleers. You see? If Africa was so awesome, if Nigeria was so awesome, if Ghana was so awesome, if Kenya was so awesome, why are you fucking leaving? Obviously, there's issues there. There's shortcomings there. That means that there's room for criticism. You know, and then especially when you got nations like Namibia, where you got Germans that own the vast majority of the land and are a small minority of the population, or you got freaking South Africa, where you got the white people who control the vast majority of the population. Could you imagine if black people went to migrated to Europe, let's say migrated to Germany, and then literally took 90% of the arable land and the land with all the resources and shit, if there were resources in Germany, right? And then and they were only 10% of the population. And the Germans were just living in squalor and shit. Do you know how embarrassing that would be for Germans? You know how embarrassing that would be? But yet, when it comes to, the Africans and stuff, y'all, still over there being accommodating to these people, And again, I know that there's movements in South Africa. Let me not pretend that there aren't movements in South Africa, But y'all are way too accommodating. You're too nice. You're too nice. Like that woman sitting there with that white guy talking about, are you using our internet? Bitch, are you using our minerals? See, we would have clapped back. That wouldn't have gone down like that. But y'all too nice, and some people, you take pride in that. Oh, we're so nice, and the Africans are so accommodating, and that's why Africa got conquered, because y'all too damn goddamn accommodating. You know what I mean? It's like what Christopher Columbus said about the Native Americans and how, they'll share anything with you. And they just took full advantage of that. You see? If anybody has helped facilitate the selfishness in the world, it's the European. It's the European, because because other non-white groups have to react and respond to not being taken advantage of by white people. And this is the crazy thing for them to run around and talk about Christianity and white Christian nationalism, but yet listen to what freaking Christopher Columbus wrote about Native Americans who were not Christians. And yet you don't see that type of behavior that he described when it comes to Christians. But yet Africans have let Europeans come in there and Christianize you. And I'm talking in particularly about the West Africans, because we know that in East Africa, they had, the Ethiopian Christians which is one of the oldest forms of Christianity. But when you go to European Christianity, go look at the Ethiopian Bible and then look at the Christian European Bibles and look how many motherfucking pages they took out of that bitch. So West Africans, no. First off, the majority of West Africans, if they were any of the Abrahamic religions, were Muslim, not Christian. They got Christianity from the Europeans. There's no ancient Christian tribes in West Africa. That happened in the fucking 15th century and whatever, 15th and 16th century. With King Alfonso and shit like that, with his relationship with the Portuguese. Nah, y'all, we see it. We see it. And the thing is it's so, I don't know why anybody denies anything at this point. Because just like police brutality, it's being filmed now. People see it. Shit that people could finesse and deny, they can no longer finesse and deny. They can't do it anymore because, now, people are aware, of what's going on. They can see it in real time. And a lot of y'all Africans, y'all be putting yourselves on blast, and even your Caribbean blacks. What is the point of you recording some shit and then you don't respond accordingly? These recordings don't show you handling business. These recordings don't show you saying, hold on a second, hold my beer. Okay? No, get somebody else to hold the camera for you, and then you handle the business. There's nothing I can't stand more than when a person is sitting there and they're holding the phone, acting like, they're going to expose this person. They're going to put them on blast. While to a degree that can be affected and cause people to lose their jobs and everything. I don't want to see that. I want to see black people handling motherfucking business. Hold the phone for me. Don't stop recording. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Because all that, the phone, the shaky phone, and y'all just having words, and y'all taking pictures of license plates, and I'm like, I'll give the women leeway, but when it comes to the men, When y'all be all emotional, and again, what I noticed in a lot of the voices and stuff like that, like when I watch these videos, I noticed that a lot of people are very nervous. They don't know how to handle the situation. And I'm not saying even I have all the answers when it comes to handling the situation, because sometimes, your mindset was like in a different place, and then out of nowhere, here comes Karen. Out of nowhere, here's some racist shit just out of pocket, like out of the void. Like you sitting there like, is this motherfucker serious? Is he serious? He's talking to me? The hell? And you don't even have any beef with this person. You're like, what? But that's how racism works. They don't need to have beef with you. You black, nigga. Like, that's how they look at you. And who knows what, the motherfucker could be mad because a black dude stole their girlfriend, and you have nothing to do with that, but they just looking at you like, here's my chance to redeem myself. And you got to be about the business of being able to react and respond to that, as opposed to sitting there for 15 minutes questioning why this is even happening. I see a lot of black people do that. They're all shocked, and then and you can hear the nervousness in their voice. I can't believe it. Anytime I hear a black person say this line, I fucking cringe. I can't believe this is happening. It's 2025. Whatever year it is, they always think that the year somehow dictates that this is no longer this happening or shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? Like they always do this shit. And to me, I'm like, this is the most annoying shit ever. This is the biggest issue that I see constantly whenever this type of situation happens. And I'm just like, I can't tell people what to do, but I see that shit a lot. I see people amazed and offended that the racism is happening to them. And a lot of times it is your Caribbean black people and your African black people, because they thought they were safe. Well, I'm not an African American. I'm not a nigga, right? That's how they view it. Right? We delineate, right? But then when something happens to them, they damn near in tears. The water's welding up in their, what we call it, whelping up in their eyes or whatever, right? I saw that with the recent shit that happened in the UK when they were running around, saying that the boy that attacked first they were blaming the Muslims, Then they found out the boy, then they were saying that the boy was an immigrant, the one that stabbed up the little white girls. Then they found out that, he was not only a Christian, but his family's like super religious. And then, his family, her parents weren't immigrants, even though a lot of white people are going to say, that they're immigrants, right? You know what I mean? And the black people, they were scared. They were scared to walk home, scared to go outside, all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why y'all be running around. Why did you ever think that you were accepted? I remember Thug Titian said a really profound thing about Jewish people in Germany. And he said that, he said something to the effect of like, how comfortable the Jewish people got in Germany. The fact that, they had German names, they spoke German, they married into German families. And at the end of the day, the Germans still said, off to the cattle cars with you. And that, like, when he made that point, like, that shit still sticks with me. That's why, hence I remember it. You know what I mean? No matter how much you think you're being accepted, no matter how much you're, toasting wine glasses and, engaging in the society and engaging in the culture, the forces that fucking hate you are still there. Doesn't matter that you speak German. Doesn't matter that you married into a German family. Doesn't matter that you look German. It does not matter. Doesn't matter that your name sounds German. Does not matter. Off to the cattle cars with you. And that's why, when it comes to the extreme violence and paranoia at the hands of the Israelis, even though they should have been doing that to the Germans, not to the Palestinians, because I'm like, what the fuck did the Arabs do to you? Nothing. You came and encroached in their territory and in their land based off of some book from 2,000 years ago or some claim from 2,000 years ago. You're right. That's what you did. But when it comes to the, what was I about to say? When it comes to, the Germans, they don't have any smoke for the Germans, but the Israelis, they got beef with the Ashkenazi Jews. They've kind of squashed it a little bit now. But now the Ashkenazi Jews, when they came to Israel, they were treated as second-class citizens. Because, like I'm saying, the way that I feel about Africans and some Caribbean black folks is like, I don't like to see y'all not fight back. That reflects on us. When y'all over there getting your ass whooped by some 4'11" Chinese man, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit reflects on us. Cause we black too, right? And the Israelis, when they were looking at the Ashkenazi Jews, they were like, y'all didn't do nothing? Y'all ain't fight back? So y'all just let them walk you. One German soldier with an MP40 walked 1,000 of you all off to the gas chambers, to the Zyklon beads, and y'all just let it happen. You didn't even attempt to fight back. You know what I mean? Go look at what happened in Poland at Baba Yar. You know what I mean? Where they had these big giant pits and fucking strip people down and line them up and gun them down. You know what I'm saying? White people have already shown you what they're capable of doing. You gotta have way more anger and way more fight in you than you motherfucking got right now. Y'all Jesus praising, Christian praising, Caribbean blacks and Africans. You gotta have way more fight in you. The way that especially, in America, these Christian white nationalists are talking. Now, again, I can understand black people in the islands not having that sort of attitude because they're not dealing with white people every day. The guy that zombie, whatever, that wrote that comment in my comment section, I understand where he was coming from, right? But when you bring that attitude over here, that's when it becomes a problem because you're not over there anymore where you go and every aspect of the government and whatnot is all black people with a handful of light-skinned people that you elevated to whiteness. Let's not get into that, right? But when it comes to when you're here, you know what I mean, and y'all think shit is sweet, and you think that white people view you and look at you as different because you're a different flavor of black, you got another thought coming. That's when y'all become a problem, and that's when we're going to speak on this shit. When you show up, freaking, 3 days before, the LA riots in 1992. You show up 3 days before the LA riots, and you running around talking about, I don't know why these niggas is mad. I don't know why they mad, right? When you have a whole host of events, you had the black woman who's the cops ran up in the house, because she didn't pay she didn't pay a light bill or something, and it was like a $40 what was it, like a $40 bill or something, electric bill or light bill or some gas bill, ran up in there. She ended up getting shot. Then you had the black girl that was the 15-year-old girl that was killed by the Korean lady, in the store. Then you had the Rodney King beating. You know what I mean? All that was adding up together, aside from the cops running around just fucking with black people. And you'll end up with an African who literally got there, the day before, the year before, in 1992, and be talking about, I don't know why these niggas are mad. I don't know why they upset. And acting like, they could behave their way out of what was going on and what black people were getting pissed off about. Ice Cube talked about this. Ice Cube warned about, this shit is about to pop off before it popped off. He was talking about the shit. He's like, I'm telling you. And they was like, nah, whatever. And then, what happened is what happened. So yeah, that's why y'all getting criticized. And again, I talk about certain shit. I don't know why some of y'all follow me. Even some of the atheists. I mean, not atheists, the religious people. Some of y'all follow me. Cap told me that y'all follow me because y'all can't shut your brain off. He was like, yeah, even with religious people, there's a handful of thinkers in there, and they listening to you because a lot of what you saying makes sense, and that's why they listening to you. He's like, hell, that's why I was listening to you, because I started out in the Jehovah Witness shit. He's like, nah. He's like, that's why they listen, because you making sense. That part can't be denied. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video. That's all I gotta say. That's my video, SWP. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. And shout out to Atunde, and I'm gonna shout out a bunch of other people. This is just the last person who hit me up on the Cash App, because I don't say anything, but yeah, because I know money is tight right now. People are fucking struggling, so I don't say shit about the Cash App. But no, people like I've gotten maybe like $80 in the last 6 months. You know what I'm saying? People don't be hitting me up like that, and I don't speak on it because it's there. If you want to donate, you want to donate. If not, whatever. It really doesn't have much of an impact on me making videos. I mean, it's nice, you know what I mean, but no, I'm not doing the whole e-begging thing and all that other stuff because I know what's going on right now. And people are trying to act like, oh, the economy is great, it's booming, and no, it's not. It's not. And I was talking to somebody recently about the changes in fucking healthcare. I'm like, man, what do you yes, people need healthcare, but when people's employment is tied to their fucking healthcare and people are not gainfully employed with healthcare, guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to go and see their healthcare provider because they don't have healthcare. I'm like, what don't you get about that? I mean, I won't say it was a discussion, but I was getting pissed off because it wasn't clicking with them. I was like, healthcare in this country is tied to employment. If people are not employed or underemployed, or their employer does not provide that service, or you don't recognize their insurance, okay, you're not going to get paid because they're not coming to see you. They're just dealing with what they have. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfuckers that got diabetes and got peripheral neuropathy, and they're taking acetaminophen thinking that the pain is going to go away. retarded. But, you know, this is the country we live in. Anyway, you know, but because white people are on their shit and think that, you know, they buy into all this, who's lazy and who's not, and we don't want to share anything, you know what I mean? This is what we end up with. Anyway, that's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.
Move. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Where?
Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We outside!